talk a lot at Yahoo about surfing the wave. And it's basically this giant wave of audience interest. And what we find actually is that when news breaks, that can of course be very interesting, but then there's the ability to do more. And I remember back to my days in print where, let's say I do a whole big thing on the iPhone and somebody would call me up the day that story was published and say, oh, I've got this great thing that's related to iPhone. And I'd say, well, I just did that, and the likelihood of me doing it again in the next year is very low. Well, actually, on the internet, that's very different. So to go back to the iPhone example, of course, when it was launched a year or two ago, we were there, we covered it, we live blogged it, very exciting. The next day, we realized people are still talking about it. In fact, there's a little bit of a backlash. The iPhone's kind of expensive, and we got into that. 2 days later, we're still very aware. We look at search patterns at Yahoo, for instance, and other people have different ways of gauging these things. But it's clear that the iPhone is still there. So this is clearly a big iPhone wave. And so I think for publicists, you can start to look for things, and if you see a big wave breaking, then you have the opportunity to catch it and crest it, unlike in the old days.
You know, frequently we have clients ask us, all right, in social media, do people want to be marketed to? I mean, isn't this sort of user-generated, and shouldn't we sort of be staying out of it? And the answer is people like to be marketed to. They just want to be marketed to by content that's relevant to them.
I think you also really need to understand what's going to resonate in the social media space. I'll give you an example. We had been approached a while back by Snuggle, and they said, well, we'd love for you to send our product out to influencers to review. And my response was, why would anyone want to write a review or a post about laundry detergent? Right. It's just not an exciting enough topic. So I said, let's just keep the dialogue open and come up with some strategies that might work. So about 4 months later, they did a big partnership with So You Think You Can Dance, which is a very successful TV show that has a very wide audience. So we said, okay, here's a tie-in that makes sense to all of us. So then we partnered up with them and executed a very successful campaign. So just because your client says they want social media, you have to really think about what's going to resonate on the other side, not just capture the dollars and feel like you can just throw some stuff up on YouTube and that's going to work. You have to really think about what's going to be effective.
Is not just going to be about the internet, but social media is going to be about proliferation on all mobile devices, as people are mobile by nature, and with the proliferation of smartphones and the iPhone, and Google's coming out with the Android in just a couple weeks, there's literally going to be GPS location-based devices with people that can run content, have city search type applications, search, run, ratings, review places. You can see where your friends are. I mean, you can see very close what's going to happen in terms of proliferation of social media campaigns across all media devices, and then how, as one of the panelists was speaking about, how do we create sort of a 360 experience for users that really makes sense, so we can sort of understand the flow of the way that people receive information and then want to interact with that piece of communication.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've seen that time and again. Whether we had a product out here in Los Angeles that got made fun of quite a bit. It would be covered by a blogger, and then people would read that blog and say, wow, this is really funny, this is a very unique product, or in some cases people would make fun of it. And we had that business owner online sometimes for half the day responding herself to a consumer's comment or a reader's comment on whether or not they like the products.
We're going to just go down a trend toward customization, and I use an example of a 6th grade elementary school in LA. The teacher that runs the classroom has a classroom page on scholastic.com, and she sends her homework notifications to the parents of the students in her classroom through the scholastic.com/Lisa Bennett's homeroom page on Scholastic. So this group of 6th graders is going to grow up knowing nothing other than living around a social network environment. So we have to grow up with them as communicators and customize experiences. So whether it's Scholastic, or whether it's a brand, or whether it's a content aggregator or a content creator, we have to give our consumers what they want, when they want it, and make it a robust experience for them. And this next generation is going to know nothing else. So we have to really be responsive to that.
It's much different. It used to be in public relations that the only way in which we could reach our target audiences was through mainstream media. We had to get a story picked up in a primary news outlet, and that's it. Now we have the ability to go direct to our audiences. And that's really what's fundamentally changed. What has not changed is that it still requires quality content. It still requires relevant content. And that's what the theme that you'll see running throughout all of this, the success is based upon providing content that is truly of interest to the specific target audience.